Good morning. This is
Good
the
morning.
Blaine's World podcast that can be found each week on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. You can also listen in on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you want to get more information and listen to previous shows, you can do so at www.blainesworld.net. I'm your host, Blaine Greenfield, and I'm here in my Zoom studio in lovely downtown Fairview, North Carolina. And each week we focus on positive news and information about people and organizations in both Western North Carolina and throughout the country. And toward that end, it's my pleasure to welcome our guest, our one guest so far, and she is Jessica Johnson. And welcome aboard, Jessica.
Hi, good morning, Blaine.
Uh,
Thank you for having me.
well, likewise, and you can wave to all your fans and friends, by the way, who are watching this, and that
I'm
is Jessica. And I don't have your background in front of me, Jessica, but I'll just give my 2 cents. And Jessica is this amazing singer, talent, who you're going to get a chance to see in just a little bit. And rather than me make up anything more about you, Jessica, could you just give a brief summary of your background, say the next 25 or 30 minutes?
Yeah, my gosh. Yeah.
We'll
So
make
I've
it 30 seconds.
30 seconds. I've been singing my whole life. And I met Ellen probably 8 or 9 years ago through sort of a choral group. And she and I have kind of been singing together ever since. And when the Love Collective had our last show about 3 years ago, she brought me in. And we're just so excited to have another show and another chance to be together now that we've kind of gotten through the last few years. And it's just so exciting to be singing again, especially with this really talented group.
And by Ellen, we should mention she is the infamous Ellen Pappas. Okay. And I
Ellen.
think, by the way, I think I actually, that's where I first met you 8 or 9 years ago. You were singing with a whole bunch of other people who were doing churches and other stuff like that. And I saw
Yeah,
you there.
yeah,
Okay. And so you said you've been singing your whole life. Do you remember the first time you ever sang in public?
I do. I was in kindergarten, and my teacher pulled me aside one day, and I thought I was in trouble. And she said, "We're doing a play, and we want you to sing this song." And it was a solo, and it was in front of the whole school. And yeah, I remember it. It was for Jack and the Beanstalk, and
Now,
I've never looked back.
now here's the key thing, and I have this great idea, Jessica, which I've shared with other people. But that performance in Jack and the Beanstalk, do you have a record of that anywhere?
I don't. Only in my head. Yeah, I still remember it.
You really, well, I won't put you on the spot now to do the part, but wouldn't that be a great fundraiser for you name the organization, but everybody would recreate their very first role, you know. So
Oh,
you
yeah.
you could play this again for your child, in X number of years, and she could see where mom was her first performance. So you performed in Jack and the Beanstalk. Go from there. What other kinds of things did you perform in afterward?
Well, so, throughout middle school, high school, I was always involved in chorus. And in high school, we did a production of Into the Woods, and I was Cinderella. And we did something, we did Anything Goes, and I think I was a reporter. But just any chance I get to sing, I'm always up for it. I minored in college. I minored in voice, so I was doing senior recital and kind of prepping for that. And then after college, I wasn't really singing, and so I was really thrilled to kind of hook back up with Ellen and my one of my dear friends, Chelsea Gaddy, who's a local singer. She was in that group too, and it was just so great to just be singing again. And so that's why I'm so happy to be with the Love Collective, because it's such a great group of talent, and we have so much fun. And I'm very guilty of always wanting to do karaoke, because that's just, I'm always up for karaoke too.
So let's talk then, get right into it. The Love Collective, you're going to be appearing, I see it on the 14th and 15th, I think, of those dates in April at Attic Salt. And talk a little bit about what's going to happen there.
Yeah, so it's going to be a really fun kind of immersive experience for the audience. We always encourage people to dress up and sing along and kind of get silly with us. And we're doing a lot of, I think the theme this year is officially across the pond. So we're doing a lot of um, kind of British inspired rock and glam, as well as some American rock and roll. So if you enjoy tie dye and a peace sign and maybe some spandex and glitter, it's going to be the perfect evening out. But yeah, we're doing a lot of Beatles, some Janis Joplin, um, so many songs, and it's going to be really fun.
And you're going to have to leave us, I know, in a little bit, Jessica, but after you leave, if we can get technology going, I'm going to play one or two songs from the show, and you're featured in one of them. What song is the one you're featured in?
Yeah, so it's Mamas and the Papas. It's dedicated to the one I love. And it's one of my all-time favorite songs. I can remember getting ready for school, and just blasting it on my CD player. And just the harmonies are so beautiful and it's just so fun to sing every time. And I'm no Mama Cass, but it's just a beautiful song.
Well,
So,
maybe in another 75 pounds or 100 pounds, you might be a mama cast, but
hey,
you're not
yeah, there's
quite there.
time. There's
Well,
time.
talk about that song because, and I appreciate you mentioning that was one of your favorites because I remember what was it, my parents or my grandparents playing that song for me. I'm just kidding. It was that was my era. And the great thing about this review, Jessica, is all the stuff is like of the people who want to see the show. They'll know most every song. Would you say?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, these songs are just kind of part of the fabric of our culture. So, and we always end every show with Happy Together, which is just so fun. So that's one that even if you think you don't know it, you do once you start singing it.
Yeah. As you know, I call it arguably the greatest rock song of all time, and I don't know if you saw it, Jessica. I don't know if I sent it to you yet, but the song was featured on Jeopardy that night. I loved it.
Oh my
They
gosh.
gave the intro words and said what song was this, and so it even made Jeopardy. Jessica, the cool thing about this review too is not only do people get a chance to see you, but you can talk about some of the other performers if you would.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So forgive me because since we're friends in real life, I don't remember everyone's last name.
I have
But
him if you made it.
yeah, I mean we've got Ryan
And
Garcia,
by the way, yeah, Ryan Garcia, yeah,
Carol Dermet, Kim
right,
Haley.
Haley, yeah.
Um, and then of course we've got Ellen who's doing some guest spots, and then we have Liz who is just the best of the best, and
And
she's an incredible local
And
talent.
for the benefit of the folks who don't know Liz, that's Liz Aiello who will be
Mhm.
joining the group. And then, in addition, if you talk also about musicians, and I have their last names if we need them, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So we've got Bruce Lang, who is again, I mean, this whole group is just so talented. Bruce Lang, David Bruce, and David Smith,
Smith, really,
who
you got it.
I mean, our ensemble is just so talented. And um, like I said, we're friends in real life, so we have a great time every time we get together. And I always equate singing to tennis in that when you play tennis and you play with someone who's better than you play better. And when we're together, make each other that much better just by being, you know, around each other. So we're pushing each other and we're trying new things and we're just getting creative. And everyone has worked so hard on all these songs, and you can really tell. I'm very excited for the show.
And lest you forget, I think you mentioned one other person who has a special guest appearance in this show. How could you
Thought you
forget?
were a surprise guest.
Okay. Well, no, I think we publicized it, but I'll give you the chance to do the introduction. You don't have to tell the song, but you can just tell
Oh,
the other person.
so our probably keystone guest is not to be missed, and that's Blaine. That's you. And I will not blow the cover on the song, but it is not to be missed.
It's a rare public appearance, and I thank you, Jessica, for also allowing me to participate in Happy Together, which is again not to be missed. Because again, if you've never seen this group before, you're in for a treat. But at the end, everybody just gets up dancing and singing, and just a lot of fun as well.
Yeah.
Talk about preparation for the show. How long have you been working on it, and how often do you meet to practice?
Yeah, my gosh. So, we have been working for several weeks. I would say probably the last 6 or 8 weeks. We've
Something
been
like that.
rehearsing twice a week, and our rehearsals are around 3 hours, sometimes shorter, sometimes longer, depending on, really what we want to focus on that evening. But yeah, I mean, we've all got day jobs, we've got families, we've got so many commitments, but we're all just so committed to this group because it's just so rewarding. And so we always have fun with rehearsal. We eat dinner together, and we catch up, and it's just a great time. And I will say that, for folks coming to the shows, um, it's you're going to leave and you're going to be in such a good mood, and you're going to be humming the songs on your way home, and it's just a really feel good, it's a great time. So yeah, we've put in a lot over the last couple of months, and it's kind of crunch time right now, which makes it that much more exciting.
If we can also give a shout out too to the fact of the places where you rehearse. If you mentioned that there are two places you've been rehearsing now, and if you want to mention Nina, if you want to mention her place,
Yeah, so Nina Dinninger is a
right?
dear friend to the group, and she's just been so supportive since day one. And she has offered this really beautiful space that she's got, and so we we have all the room we need. We have great acoustics, and we're going to be at Nina's very soon. And then the other place is Bruce Lang's studio, which is just it's just incredible. And you could maybe talk about that a little more because you've been there too. It's just top tier. And as a performer, it's been so nice to be in a space like that where you can hear the tracks back, and the mics are just very professionally done, and he's even got special lights, and it just feels so professional. It's great.
And I'll see in just a second when Jessica has to leave. Two of the clips that were taped at Bruce's place. But I think that it's the Big Creek Recording Studio, and I just mentioned that if any folks are ever listening, want a great place to record their stuff, this is the place to be.
Absolutely.
Had you ever been there before?
I had not, and I was very excited to get to go. Um, Again, Bruce is such a talented musician, and his studio is almost like a museum of musical artifacts and paraphernalia. He's a really big Beatles fan, as am I. So the first night we went, I was just kind of looking at everything, and just it was like a playground. So and your listeners will see or hear in a moment, he's a great producer. So the sound quality, the mixing is just fantastic.
And the other thing we should mention, aside from the fact that Bruce is going to be not only helping with the recording and the visuals, but he's actually in the group, and he is, like Jessica said, one of the world's biggest Beatle fans. And to hear him do a Beatles song, which hopefully you'll be able to get to see, is fantastic. Jessica, last question, because I know you have to rock and roll.
Yeah.
After this, do you have anything on the performing agenda?
Oh my gosh, you know what? TBD. Like I said, I'm always up for doing anything. So, no plans as of yet. I know that we do have another iteration of our show coming up in May. And then after May, I'm wide open. So I'm available if anyone wants to sing or do anything. Um, but no, I think we're going to be seeing what else this group can do, and just doing more songs and more shows. And um, like you said, we're going to just keep rocking and rolling.
And just to encourage you, someday I'd love to see you in a show. You know, you mentioned high school and college. I'd love to see you perform in a show. I don't think I've had that pleasure yet. So maybe sometime when your child is 15 years from now, when you can devote the time to, perform in a show. But you're just an amazing woman. And I should ask, lastly, if anybody wants to get in touch with Jessica Johnson, is there a best way to reach you?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, good question. I mean, I'm on Facebook, and I know that you're kind of tagging all of us in the group. And I've got an email, which is jessjohnson23@live.com. If anybody wants to sing or act or talk about music, that's probably the best way.
And I'm glad you shared that. Jess Johnson 23 at live. Is it live.com?
Yes.
And that differentiates you between Jess Johnson 22 and Jess Johnson 24. Is that correct? So make sure you get the 23 right.
We had to, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, Jess, I know you got to get rolling. So I'd like to thank you for being this guest on my special Blaine's World podcast. I'd like to have people stay with us for a second or two, because I'm going to try to play the song Jess mentioned. You're in for a treat if it works. But Jess, why don't you get going? I'm going to pause it, and we'll see you in a night or two, I guess, for a rehearsal. Yeah. Okay,
sounds
thanks again.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining me.
All right, bye.
Hi again. This is Blaine Greenfield on the Blaine's World podcast, and we're speaking at a special show that's going to be at Salt on Friday, April 14th and Saturday, April 15th. The show is called The Love Collective Across the Pond. And we've been speaking with the amazing, very talented Jessica Johnson. And right now, if all goes well, we're going to let you get to hear her and the rest of the group singing at least one of the songs. So if you stay with me as I go back to screen sharing, and we'll see what happens. And share screen, and we're ready to go.
It's hard for me, my baby, and the darkest hour is just before dawn. Each night before you go to bed, my baby, whisper a little prayer for me, my baby. Never be exactly what we wanted to be. I can't be satisfied knowing you want me, but there's one thing I want you to do, especially for me, and it's something that everybody needs. While I'm far away from you, my baby, whisper a little prayer for me, my baby, because it's hard for me, my baby, and the darkest hour is just before dawn. Especially for me, and it's something that everybody needs. Each night before
And that was, you just heard Love Collective doing one song that they'll be performing at the upcoming show. And I think you're in for a treat. You may have seen in that particular show, you saw Carol Leslie Dermott, Ryan Garcia, Jessica Johnson, Kim Haley, Ellen Pappas. I think we're in for a treat. I think we have the next song keyed up.
What would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song. I will try not to sing out of key. Baby, I get
Have a little help from my friends.
all I needed.
From my friends.
I'm only saying that.
From my friends.
Oh, yeah, yeah. What do I do when my love is away?
Does it worry you to be alone?
How do I feel at the end of the day?
Are you sad because you're on your own?
I'm gonna tell you that
From my friends.
I'm gonna get by.
From my friends.
I'm only telling you
From my friends.
oh, yeah,
Do you need anybody?
I need someone to love.
Could it be anybody?
Oh, yes, anybody. Oh, I'm gonna need that. You know I need some. Oh, yeah,
Would you believe in our love at first sight?
yeah. Certain it happens all the time.
What do you see when you turn out the light?
I can't tell you, but it sure feels like my life.
Have a little help from my friends.
Oh, I'm gonna try and get on.
Have a little help from my friends.
I'm gonna promise
Have a little help from my friends.
oh, I really need them. Yeah,
Do you need anybody?
huh, yeah, I'm gonna get on.
Have a little help from my friends.
You know I promise I'll ride. Oh, I really need them.
Wow. I don't know about you folks, but those two songs just blew me away. And in case you're wondering who is performing in them, featured were Carol Leslie Dermott, Ryan Garcia, Jessica Johnson, Kim Haley, and Ellen Pappas, as well as Liz Aiello, one of the guest performers at the show. You also performing musicians David Smith, David Bruce, and Bruce Lang. And the songs were taped at Bruce's recording studio, which is Big Creek Recording, and it's located in Barnesville, very easy to get to. And the contact information is www.bigcreekrecording.com. And you get a chance, if you're ever interested in recording or performing, Bruce's studio is certainly the place to go to. At any rate, just to recap what we've been talking about, it's going to be a fantastic show that I hope you all get to see. It's called The Love Collective Across the Pond. That's going to be on Friday, April 14th at 7 p.m. Also Saturday, April 15th at 7 p.m. It's going to be at the Attic Salt Theater in Woodfin. And if you want to get tickets for that show, please check out the website for Attic Salt. It's www.atticsalt.org. And you're in for a treat. That's all I can tell you. Some fantastic singing. Please feel free to come dressed in costume, your poodle, skirts, whatever else you want to wear. Should be a lot of fun. And as Jessica mentioned, you'll also get to hear yours truly perform in one of his rare public performances. Hope to see you all then. If you do stop by, make sure you say hello to me and the rest of the folks there. I'd like to thank Jessica for being my guest on this Blaine's World podcast. Also to Cappy Tassetti, my producer. I hope to see you whenever the next podcast airs. And again, as mentioned, you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, also on Spotify or Apple Podcasts if you just want to listen in. And thanks for joining us, folks. My hope is that you can get to hear these two songs that were on this podcast, and that we'll get to see you soon. Be well.